Today we went over how to solve equations, and this again was a review from middle school. So we have our 5 steps for solving equations, which number 1, we have to draw our line through our equal sign. Then we're going to simplify each side. Then we will label our sides, and then we're going to move stuff that's on the wrong side, and then multiply or divide by the coefficient to find our answer. So our first problem we're going to do is 7x plus 4 equals 31. So for my first step, I'm going to draw my line through the equal sign. And what this does is this designates my 2 sides. Step 2 is that I need to simplify each side. That means I need to look to see if there's any like terms that I can combine on the left side or the right side. So if I just look at the left side, my 7x plus 4, I can't combine 7x and 4 because 7 has an x and 4 doesn't. So in this particular problem, step 2 does not apply. I don't have to simplify anything. Step 3 says I need to label my sides. That means I want to label the side with x's and the side with everything else. And that gives me my map or my directions in which I'm going to go. So step 3 is done. So I made the left side the x side and the right side everything else. And step 4, I need to start moving stuff to the correct side. So if the left side over here is my x side, that means only stuff with an x should be on the left side. That means 4 is on the wrong side. So I need to take 4 and I need to move it. So if it's a plus 4 on the left side, it's going to become a minus 4 on the right side, and then it's gone. And so I am left with 7x equals 31 minus 4 is 27. So step 4 is now done because I have nothing else I can move. Because if I look at my sides, I should have everything with an x on the left side and everything without an x on the right side. And at this point, I have done that. Oops, I didn't write my 7 there. So now for my final step, I need to get x completely by itself. Remember when I have 7x, that is 7 multiplied by x. And to move the 7 to the other side, to get x completely alone, I need to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 7. So I end up with x equals 27 over 7. I can't simplify that, so I'm just going to leave it in fraction form because in decimal form it would be incredibly ugly. So here's problem 2. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my line through the equal sign. My problem says 3 times 2x minus 1 equals 27. So step 2 says I need to simplify each side, which in this case, if I look at my left side, I have parentheses. And anytime I see parentheses, I need to distribute. So I need to multiply 3 and 2x and 3 and negative 1. So 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. And that is now equal to 27. Well, I can't combine the 6x and the minus 3 because the 6 has x, the minus 3 doesn't. So I am done with step 2. So step 3 tells me that I need to label my sides. So I'm going to label my x side and my everything else side. So that tells me what needs to move. So that means if it has an x, it should be on the left side. If it doesn't have an x, it should be on the right side. So that leads me to step 4. Which step 4 says that I need to move my terms to the correct side. So this minus 3 here, it does not have an x, therefore it is on the wrong side. So I need to move it to the correct side, which in this case is the right side. So when I move the minus 3, it's going to become a plus 3, and then it's gone. And I have 6x equals 27 plus 3 is 30. There's nothing else I can do I don't need to move anything else around because I have all my x's on the left and my numbers on the right. So step 4 is done. So now I'm going to finish up with step 5, which I need to get rid of this 6 that is here in front of the x. I need to get x completely by itself. So to do that, remember 6 and x are multiplied. And to undo multiplication, the opposite of multiplication is to divide. So I'm going to divide both sides by 6, and I end up with x equals 5. And that would be my final answer to the problem. Now recall that you can check that answer to make sure that it is correct. So when we do that, that means we're going to take our original problem, so 3 times 2x minus 1 equals 27. And instead of x here, I want to replace that x with 5 because I've already done the work and I've figured out that x really should be 5. So this x is going to become 5. So I'm going to rewrite the problem. as 3 times 2, and instead of x, I am going to put in 5, and notice I put it in parentheses. Anytime you take out a letter and put in a number, you always put it in parentheses. Anytime you take out a letter and put in a number, you always put that number in parentheses. So think about our order of operations. PEMDAS says we take care of what's inside the parentheses first. So I need to do 2 times 5, which is 10, minus 1 equals 27. And 10 minus 1 is 9. And 3 times 9 is 27. And since the left side equaled the right side, my left side was 27, my right side was 27, then this equation was true, so x equals 5 really is my solution. So my solution to this problem, the number that makes the equation true, is the number 5. And our last problem, we have x minus 4 divided by 3 equals 15. So the first thing I'm going to do, as I have before, is I'm going to draw my line through the equal sign to separate my sides. And then I'm going to look to see if I can simplify either side. Simplifying means I'm combining like terms or distributing. Well, if I look on the left side, there's nothing I can combine together. If I look on the right side, there's also nothing I can combine together. So I'm going to ignore this simplify each side step. And then I can move on to step 3. Step 3 says to label my sides. I'm labeling, that means I want my x's on the left and everything else on the right side so that I have my guide of what I'm going to be doing and what I'm going to be moving. So then it says I need to start moving stuff to the correct side. Well, the only thing that needs to stay on the left side is this x, but I have 2 things that I need to get rid of, and one of them is the minus 4, one of them is divided by 3, and I know a lot of you are thinking, oh, I hate fractions. Well, the good thing is what makes this easy is really if you have a fraction on one side, remember you need to put a fraction on the other side, because now it's a proportion problem and I can actually cross multiply. So I multiply the bottom times the top on the opposite side, and my problem is a lot easier to work out. So if I multiply 1 times x minus 4, I'm just going to get x minus 4. And if I multiply 3 times 15, I'm going to get 45. This is a much simpler problem to work out. So now I need to continue moving stuff around. We'll notice I have this minus 4 over here. That doesn't have an x with it, so I need to move the minus 4 to the other side, and it's going to become a plus 4. So I now have that x equals 49. So I've completed step 4. Well, step 5 is to multiply or divide by the coefficient. Well, recall if I don't have a coefficient, then the number in front of x is a 1. And 1 times x, to get rid of that one that's multiplied, I'm going to divide. Well, 49 divided by x is still 49. So my answer to this problem, my solution is 49.